You're on the Players platform, where student athletes share their experiences with name, image, and likeness. Listen in for tips and tricks so you too can leverage and monetize your NIL. Here are your hosts, Business of College Sports founder Christy Dosh and Duke University track and field and cross-country athlete Emily Cole, author of The Players Plate.
Welcome to the Players platform. Thanks for joining us this week. I am Christy Dosh, and I am joined, as always, by the lovely Emily Cole. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you. Today we are going to be joined by Fran Belibi. She is known as the Dunker. She plays basketball for Stanford and is just absolutely incredible all-around human. She is actually who I roomed with at the NIL Summit. So that's how I got to meet her personally and got to know how great of a woman she is. And also we are in the Meta NIL Empower program. So it's another way that we've gotten to work with the Meta company to learn about building our brand and building our social media platforms. And she has done such a great job in this space. She's got so many followers and also has created a brand with her family that is kind of a play on their initials. It's like FHABS. So super excited to ask her all about all these different experiences and let y'all learn from her story. So here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the newest episode of the Players platform with Fran Belibi. I am so excited about this one because we were actually roommates at the NIL Summit. That's where we got to meet. And she's an NIL ambassador, great person, and she plays basketball for Stanford. So she's obviously a stud. Welcome to the show, Fran.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
So to kind of get us started and kick us off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then your journey with NIL so far?
Yeah, I'm a senior at Stanford, like Emily said. I'm majoring in human biology. And so I think like a couple years ago in California, NIL was kind of going to get started and it was going to happen like 2023. So me and my class were kind of like, oh, okay, like that sucks that we get to miss out, but like happy for everyone else. So it was a little bit of a surprise to hear it was actually going to be happening a little bit sooner. And kind of because of that, I kind of went into the NIL journey a little bit slower. I didn't want to hop into it too quickly because I didn't really know what it all entailed. I was also like super nervous about having to pay taxes, and I didn't want to like lose half of my money to taxes.
Yep.
So I was like,
the worst part.
Slow it down. Yeah, exactly. I was like, let's slow it down. And then I just started talking to my mom. And instead we kind of launched a brand. And so we started like a brand that's kind of like with my whole family. And then I have kind of my own separate thing. Cause I have a younger sister, she's a freshman at Harvard now. And so she kind of has her own thing that she enjoys doing, track and all of that. And so
Wait, tell us more about this brand. What is the family brand?
Yeah, so it's called FHABS. It's encompasses the whole family. A lot of us have F names. I have one sister as an A or an H-A, so for Hannah.
Yeah.
And our last name is Belibi, so it's just like FHABS, fabulous. They kind of really dug into that.
So cool.
And it's just a clothing line. Currently, we just have me in it right now because I'm the only one who's like done a college sport so far. But like currently my silhouette is like one of my dunks, I think my senior year of high school.
Cool.
I think it's pretty dope.
Yeah. For those listening who don't know Fran already, she can also dunk. So yeah, she's a badass.
Side note, I'll just plug myself in there.
Minor detail.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's pretty dope. My sister will have kind of whatever she feels like when she reaches a point where she's ready for it. But yeah, it's been really cool. I like see people wearing it. Like one of my teammates was wearing it yesterday and I was like, I'm going to have to do that.
That's so cool.
But yeah, it's been a really, really cool experience for sure.
What I'm getting is that you and your sister are both incredibly athletically gifted and you're brilliant because you're at Stanford and Harvard. So a whole family of overachievers. I love that you guys are doing this together because I think the only other sort of family situations we've seen have been the Cavender twins because all of their social media was already together. So it made sense for a lot of their brand deals to be together. And then you've got some of the male basketball players who are the sons of NBA greats, like Shaq and LeBron. And so you've seen some family stuff there, but I didn't realize that you were doing this with your sister. Have you guys talked through like a strategy or like the things that you want to do together versus what you want to do separately? What do those conversations look like?
Yeah, I mean, me and my sister are like two very, very different people with how we kind of approach social media, and even like she's short and I'm gigantic, and like just like even like our sports that we chose to go about, we're very, very different. And so I think for her, it's been a lot of like, she just got into college. She's just trying to like kind of figure out her way a little bit in these first couple months that she's been there. So we haven't been like harping on her too much. I think her season also is starting in a little bit. So we're just like, like get into a groove, figure out if chemistry is for you, or figure out something else for yourself. So most of our conversations have been just a lot about like figure yourself out, and then we can kind of come together about who you want to show to the world, like which version of yourself you want to be for the world. But I'm really excited for her. I can't wait to see what she decides in regards to her logo and what she wants to sell. And I think once she figures it out, we'll definitely be doing a lot of joint publicity. She's got all the social media stuff down, so I'm gonna let her handle it.
So I saw your logo of you dunking, and really that's what you're known for. I think I read that you were the first female high school athlete to dunk, and then there were all sorts of ESPN clips of you dunking this past season, and that's really what you're known for. And so I think your logo is perfect for that. And I saw you've put it on merchandise. You mentioned one of your teammates wearing some of your merch. What does that merchandise process look like? Like who did you work with, or how did you get that made, and how is it going?
I gotta be so honest. My mom helped me with so much of it. She is kind of a bit of an entrepreneur. I don't know how she does it because she also is a doctor, so she's got a lot on her plate all the time.
Oh
apparently.
My gosh!
But she kind of took the head on that, and like the like branding process, the shipping process, all of that stuff, she kind of like takes head. So I honestly have no idea. She was just like, you just go to school and get your good grades and play basketball, and I got everything else. I was like, okay, if you're cool with that, that's fine.
That's so incredible.
But yeah, for most of that, it's her. But I do talk to her a little bit about kind of like what I think should be changed in regards to what's selling, what I think more people would like. And then she kind of takes my ideas and kind of goes from there. But for the most part, she's really lucky. She just handles everything for me.
That's so nice. I feel like, I don't know, having that connection, that support system is so huge, especially trying to build a brand and build up your name, image, and likeness while being an athlete and being in school. Like I mean, that's something that I've seen I'm really grateful for too, is the people that I had to support me in the journey. So you've got to have people around you on your team, and also like even the people that are physically around you supporting you, like taking a couple of hours to go do some work or maybe take some pictures for social media, even though it might be like, why are you going to do this right now? We're supposed to be hanging out or something like that. But I guess one of the cooler things too that we've gotten to do together is we're both a part of the Meta NIL Empower program. So why don't you talk a little bit about that and what the experience has been like?
Yeah, I found out about it because I met Nick and Becca at the summit, and I like follow them on Instagram, and so they had it on their story, and I was like, okay, like let me try it out. And I think it's been really, really cool. I think it's been a really dope experience. I've gotten to like follow a lot of athletes I like never would have really found out about. And I've gotten to learn so many things about Meta and like what they do and what they can do for me. And but like beyond Meta, I think we're learning a lot about like what it means to be a brand and like to brand ourselves, and like how that doesn't have to necessarily be just based on your sport. Like I've kind of struggled with it a lot because after playing basketball after college, I don't really like plan on playing basketball past this. And I want to be a doctor. And so I've struggled in how do I transition from like being this person that everyone knows as a dunker, as a basketball player, to someone who's like now in a professional setting and is actually wants to be a doctor and is going to become a doctor. And how do you kind of keep that same engagement with people who knew you one way and might not necessarily be ready for you in a different way? And so learning about how to brand yourself and what a brand means beyond the scope of your sport, I think has been really, really interesting. And I've taken a lot of notes, learned a lot about myself. But I think it's been a really, really cool experience. Like, I can't really speak for everyone, but I think that it's been really like one of the best experiences I've been a part of.
So kind of on that note, one of the actionable items they gave us was to start a series, and you started your Thinky Thought Thursdays, which I think is a perfect way you're kind of trying to build this transition and bridge that gap between your athletic and academic passions. And I think it's so cool because you're talking about like what you're learning, what you learned that week. And also your audience gets to hear your voice and your thoughts and just get to know you on a different level. So I personally think you're doing an amazing job of it, just so you know.
Thank you. I think it's so funny that you say that. My brother, I just talked about my brother on my Thinky Thought, but he's just turned 14. And after like my second one, he was like, Cheska, you need to stop doing that. You're just like, it's like you're being a Stanford student and you want to show everyone how smart you are. And I was like, okay, and like I am, so I'm gonna keep going with it. But yeah, I've really enjoyed doing it, and like my teammates, my friends have been like, oh, what's this Thursday about? I'm like, I don't know, it's Sunday. I have a whole week. But yeah, they've been really fun.
So I'm coaching in the Meta program, and we're split into teams, and unfortunately neither Emily or Fran are on my team, but we get to be in these joint sessions together. And part of why I wanted to coach in the program was I love that focus that they have on helping you prepare for life after your sport. So I'm curious, you mentioned too, not planning on, playing basketball after college. What have you learned either through the Meta program or otherwise that's helping you plan for that next step? Like maybe a takeaway, other folks who don't get to be part of the Meta program, like how do you plan for career after sport?
I think that's like a really interesting question, just because I think for me, I feel like I've had my life planned for a while, and obviously it hasn't always gone the way I thought it would go, but I feel like I've had like a general plan and direction for my life. And so when I started playing basketball, it was kind of like an extra like little wrench, but like nothing had really changed in regards to what I felt like I continued to want to do, which I think can be very different for a lot of different people. Some people go into college and have no idea what they want to do, and some people know exactly what they want to do and then change halfway through. And some people know the whole way through. And so I think that it's kind of a little bit of a matter of like knowing yourself. I think you kind of figure that out through college. You kind of decide who you want to be and what's important to you. But I think the Meta program in particular has really helped me in regards to the branding. I think I talked to someone, can't remember who, but it was like kind of an idea of like this personal business and like the world. And like when you take your social media and your social media platforms and you kind of are like a certain person, you are your like professional self or your sports self. There's ways to that's like a way to bring people in. And then from there, you can kind of talk about what's important to you, what you care about, what you want to do. And that kind of helps educate them and can continue to bring other people in. And so I think that this idea that like you have to be who your followers think you are, or in a way, is kind of something that I've learned to push past. And I think at the NIL Summit, one person was like in charge of social media for Tom Brady. And his basic idea was like, stop caring about what people think of you. Like just post what you feel like posting, do it in a certain way. And like people who care about you will continue to care about you. And those who don't care, well, then they were never real fans anyway. And so that kind of idea and that process in regards to going past your sport is just like, find out what's important to you, find out what you care about. And at a certain point, you'll find out who your real friends are and your fake friends are. And if you lose some friends or some followers along the way, then they're just missing out on you pretty much.
So kind of on that note, as you've embarked on this journey, building your platforms, your name, image, and likeness, and partnering with brands, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned or that you would recommend or warn younger athletes about who are trying to be the next Fran Belibi and look up to you a lot?
I think that one of the biggest things that I learned is like knowing my worth. I think that obviously family is really important to me, but I sometimes feel like when my parents are telling me things, I'm like, okay, but like you're biased. Like I'm your oldest daughter. Of course you're gonna say this about
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so when I started like talking to brands about deals and like figuring out pricing of things and what I'd be doing, well, I would go to my mom about it and like tell her, okay, like this is what this brand came to me with. This is what their idea is. She's like, no, that's not enough. And I'm like, are you sure? Like this looks like a lot of money to me. She's like, no,
Yeah.
like you have to look at like your platform, what you do, what you're able to continue doing, and you have to take all that into account and like you have to know your worth. And I think that knowing my worth and learning how to say no has been something that I've really learned throughout this whole NIL process. And I think that's something that's really important for everyone to learn, not just about NIL, about everything, relationships, like where you want to go to college. Like it's so important to know your worth and know who you are as you continue throughout your life. And so learning that through NIL has been a nice, light, easy way to figure it out for sure.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who's terrible at like saying yes to too many things. Like I just get excited and I love what I do. And so when more opportunities come my way, like my first instinct is to say yes. And I have to like pull myself back and really ask myself some questions about whether it's something I should be doing or not. So you talked about learning to say no. What are some of those either deal breakers or questions that you ask that get you to, okay, I should probably pass on this?
Yeah, I think if I'm like taking an NIL deal, for example, it's like I'm again planning to go to med school. So the vast majority of the money I receive through deals goes straight into a separate account that's like for like furthering your education. And so when I think about deals I'm doing, I'm thinking about like how can I save the most money? I like currently I'm on full scholarship, so I'm super lucky in that I don't have to worry about like anything school related and money. But like at a certain point, I'm going to have to start worrying about that. So a lot of what I do is in anticipation of like, okay, you have to start to plan ahead for how expensive medical school is going to be. And so when I look at deals, I'm thinking about how is this deal going to help me in regards to furthering my med school dreams? How is aligning myself with this deal going to make me look? How will I make them look? And just a lot about like their values and what they're talking about, what it is they want me to do. I found out I'm not really an actor, so I try not to do deals where I have to act because I look terrible. So just like I like try to take into account kind of what people are asking of me, if that's something I can give my time up for. If it's something I want to give my time up for. And then obviously I talk to my family, my parents and my siblings always have something to say. So, but it's definitely a team decision and then we kind of go from there.
So on that same topic, what are some of the favorite name, image, likeness deals you've gotten to do over your time at Stanford?
I really like the Denny's deal because it's just like so cool. I like never really went into life expecting to like do a commercial or like be on a green screen for anything. And they were like telling me what they wanted to do and why it was important to them. And then they like were donating money to the Women's Sports Foundation. And I was like, listen, you don't have to say anything past that. That sounds great. It was like a really tiring shoot. I like did it right after a practice and then I think we had a game the next day. And so I was like pretty tired. But like it was just a really cool experience. Like get on a green screen and you like I'm just like being myself and I just get paid.
What all did they have you do?
I was like at one point I was on this like moving like cart because I'm like dunking through the air over like some food.
Oh my gosh.
And so obviously I can't jump that high for that long. So they had me on like a moving cart and I was like holding it and like talking to the camera. And then at the end it's like I actually dunked, but they clipped it. It was really cool. They were like showing it to me and they had like me on the green screen and it was just like, and I was like, oh, you guys can do that.
That's amazing.
It was really, really cool. But yeah, it was a process for sure. I really applaud everyone who does commercials on a regular basis.
Yeah. I've kind of felt the same thing whenever I've done different deals. It's like the timing is just never right. Like there's never a good time. It's like you're always going to be tired. There's always going to be practice or homework to do. And so you just have to fit it in. And I'm just like,
yeah.
It's funny though, because what you're doing is so cool. So like, I can't really complain about this, but I'm also tired.
Yeah, like I'm exhausted. We got to the end. I was like, can I go home now, please? Like, please. But yeah, it was definitely a really cool experience.
I wanted to turn part of this on Emily too. Sometimes things come up on these calls with other athletes, and I want to put Emily on the spot and ask her these things too. So what about you, Emily, for saying no? You do so much in the NIL space, plus you are doing cross country and track and field, and you have a major that to me makes my head want to explode. So how do you decide to say no? What kind of questions are you asking, or what are the deal breakers that make you say no to something?
I think for brands, something that I'm grateful I'm in the position now is that I've built relationships with a few different companies now that I know, like they've asked me to kind of keep doing a couple of more deals in the future. And it makes it a lot easier to say no to the majority of other people if they're not like, the right price or the right alignment. I know that's something that has become really important to me, is not having too many deals or too many like ad-like things on my pages, because I don't want people to get annoyed by that. And obviously super grateful for my representation team, because if I ever get emails, I just forward them straight over to them. But yeah, I guess saying no it's become easier as I've built up my platforms and been able to have the opportunity to say no to more people. But it's definitely something that you should use from the very beginning, and just make sure that you're always partnering with companies that align with the value and the ideas that you're trying to put out and represent, because that will ultimately make the brands that you really want to work with in the end more likely to work with you. And if there are big companies that you really want to work with, go get your friend that has a nice camera, pay them $20 to take some pictures of you, and create the content before you even have the deal. That's been something that I've seen a lot of athletes do that ends up working out well, is you create the content about something you're already genuinely passionate about. And then the company's going to see it because it's free advertisement for their product and their brand. And a lot of the time they end up reaching out and wanting to do something together. So that's definitely a great way to get started.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice about creating the content before you've even got the deal. So somebody taught me a sort of test that's worked really well for me. If people are listening and have trouble saying no, I'm still not world's best at saying no, but they said to have 3 things that are important to you or that are part of your brand, that are things that like have to be present in everything you do. So like my 3 things are that it has to be ideally is something around writing. Like I enjoy writing the most out of everything that I do. And then something around college sports, because that's such a big part of what I do. And the ability to like work remotely. So I get invited to do like consulting things or even get full-time job offers. And I ask myself, like, does it meet at least 2 of those 3 things? Am I getting to write? Is it about college sports? Do I get to do it like remotely and on my own time? And if it doesn't meet 2 of the 3 things, then I say no. And that has helped keep me on track, because that is like a very defined thing. Like I know what the 3 things are. You have to meet 2 of the 3. Like that is a test that I can't fudge. And so that helps me say no to a lot of stuff that's really just not on brand for me and doesn't make sense for where my career is going. So that's my little test people can borrow.
I like that. I like that test a lot.
Fran, I'm curious, are there any NIL deals, like type of deal or brands that you haven't got to do yet that you're hoping comes for you down the road?
I feel like I just have like ideas that I think would be like funny and would just work really well. I feel like a deal with Dunkin' Donuts would just be so easy to advertise. Like,
yeah. Oh, that's be such a good one.
Right. And or like Red Bull, like Red Bull gives you wings. Like I already have wings. Like I can pretty much fly. So anyway, I just think that they would just work really well, and I might pitch them because I just think that it just works, But for the most part, I'm not really super like picky about, or okay, let's rewind. I am picky about deals, but I also am not necessarily like out and about looking for deals.
Yeah.
I just have like so many other things going on. Like if a deal kind of presents itself and it works out and like we have the same kind of alignment, then I'll go for it. But I also am not necessarily like out like hunting for deals. So, you know, I'm just kind of living my life. But if Dunkin' Donuts or Red Bull want to sponsor me, I'm here.
Duncan pitches me on stuff. So when we publish this, I forward them the link to it.
Love.
I'm sure they will jump on that too. So to close us up, thank you so much for your time on the show. We could not be more appreciative of you. But as our listeners know, at the end of every episode, we love to give our athletes the opportunity to get up on the metaphorical platform of the Players Platform podcast and talk about a cause or something that they're just really passionate about and believe in. So what would you like to bring to the awareness of our listeners today?
Yeah, I want to talk about mental health. We don't have to really get too deep into it, but I'm sure a lot of people know Stanford has had a couple different forays with that, and so mental health is something that's super important to me, super important to our team, and I think our school as a whole. And so just wanted to shout out an organization really quickly that just got started a couple months ago, Katie's Save. They are founded by the parents of Katie Meyer, who tragically took her life in March of this year. And I think they're doing really, really great work and just pushing really for the right things for student athletes and for all students in college going through anything. So yeah, just wanted to push that, wanted to push mental health awareness. It's something I'm really big on and constantly ready and willing to talk about. So
I'm on the exact same page, and we have a similar organization here at Duke called Morgan's Message for a girl that we had that was on our lacrosse team here. And it's just really, really cool to see the parents doing something so amazing and beautiful with such a tragic situation. Really grateful for both those organizations and all the work they do.
Thank you for sharing that with us. When we close out, we like to do a little rapid fire session with our guests so that people can get to know you a little bit better, just some fun things. So if you're down for it, we're going to throw a few things at you.
Let's do it.
All right. Because like Emily, you have a major that I could never do. I'm curious, what is your favorite class you're taking right now?
Right now, I'm really liking my exercise physiology class. I like learn something new every day, and I like go back and tell my strength coach. Like we did like blood flow restriction, and I was like, "Oh my god, did you like know this and that?" She's like, "Okay, Fran, that's fine." But so far, that's been my favorite class. It's been really cool.
That's so cool, and it's so applicable too.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your favorite candy?
Ooh. Well, before games I always have sweet tarts, the chewy sweet tarts. They're kind of my go-to.
Yum.
But recently I rediscovered my love for Smarties, so it's kind of up in the air.
So good. I had this all growing up.
Yeah.
So many.
What is the last show you binge watched?
Okay, so I just finished House of the Dragon, the first season, 10 out of 10 show. However, the show I'm currently binge watching is Grey's Anatomy. I'm going through for my second time, and I'm on season 13, and a lot has happened that I forgot happened. I'm like, wow, here we are.
A classic.
A classic.
Grey's Anatomy is such a good one. Where is your hometown?
Denver, Colorado. Lots of snow.
Oh,
But not for me.
Emily and I both love Colorado. And is there an artist or a song that's on your playlist to listen to before games?
I don't really listen to music that often. Lately I've been listening to audiobooks more often, and so whatever music I listen to is like whatever was in the locker room at the time. Usually Haley picks, so I don't have like a go-to.
What is your recent audiobook?
I just finished The Ghosts of Harvard, and
What's that about?
that was such a great book. It's like about a girl and her brother just committed suicide at Harvard, and he's like schizophrenic. And so like she chooses to go to Harvard to like find out what made it happen because she thinks it's like all on her. And she like ends up hearing ghosts, and it's like a whole thing. The whole time I was like, is she schizophrenic? And then I got to the end and I said, oh my God. I was like texting Hannah. I was like, Hannah. I was like, Hannah, she's just falling? What? And Hannah's like, keep reading. Okay. But
that's amazing. It's like a little book club.
Exactly.
That's so fun.
Thank you so much for joining us, Fran. We're so excited to have you on the podcast and learn a little more about you, and look forward to watching this season and seeing how it goes for you. I'm sure you're going to have a great one.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited. We'll have lots of great games, so everyone tune in.